Bosmer, Woodorcs, Greymire Argonians, and Forest Khajiit. These are the people of Valenwood who make up the Bramblescar clan. Find out more at tinyurl.com/bramblescar. Welcome to Scrollplay, the Elder Scrolls Online role-playing show. I'm your host, Floyd the Human. In this episode, we'll look at news as always, and then we'll have an interview with Birdsong about role-playing a smooth criminal. Our top news story for this episode comes from the brand new EUAD news correspondent, X Caribur, who tells us about some trouble at the Woodhearth docks. But first, let's take a look at what's going on in the rest of the community. Evidence of necromancy with an Elden root has put a young Thalmor apprentice's mother on a list of suspected necromancers and fugitives. The female Khajiit has been tracked to the Middens beneath the Great Grot Oak in Eldenroot, where it is believed she may be conducting cruel experiments. Experiments the Thalmor intend to put a stop to in an operation of stealth and infiltration. You can find out more about this storyline titled A Shade of the Revenant, a Merithic Eye storyline run by @EmeraldBay, link in the description. In the wake of the attempted assassination of Battlereef Telmathian, members of the famous curiosity shop Relics, as well as a few agents of the Eyrie, have traveled to the Heart of Shadows, to Blackmarsh. After a grueling journey through the swamp, they met with the local tribesmen in Stormhold and apologized for war crimes committed by the Aldmeri Dominion in Blackmarsh. Whatever happened in this secret meeting, the Dominion did not stick around afterwards, fleeing to Alton Coromont and booking passage back to Auradon. In Fell's Run news, a mysterious girl arrived in town with a mysterious riddle. It involved an hourglass and some runes that supposedly had the ability to destroy the entire town. The Verminen cultists seem to be up to their nefarious plots. A different group of cultists was discovered in the Alakir Desert near Bergama. These are the same cultists who were hunted by Azab Ababne and are believed to be responsible for his disappearance. Rumor has it the last remaining sibling of Baron Cairn has been poisoned. She's said to be recovering in the Silverthorn Keep. The Baron has not spoken to the public on the matter, but he's no longer in isolation, now holding public court once again. In happier news, Rivenspire celebrated the marriage of Lady Lianen Gawadunin and Sir Evans. Surviving with the Nords of Skyrim, a series of cultural lessons for those who travel through Skyrim but do not understand how the Nords managed to drink so much mead or survive in the harsh conditions of their land. These lessons are held by a couple of Nords in the Windhelm Crafting Quarter, bi-weekly, starting Thursday, April 30th, 8 p.m. EDT.
The battle for Trollhättan!
Uh-oh. So, scouting missions, skirmishes, and tactics to thin the enemy ranks will occur throughout the battle. Dates will be posted on the Children of Skyrim calendar. Link in the description, of course. Recently, the Argonians of Stormhold met to discuss varying matters affecting life in Shadowfen. With the approval of Councillors Hieronymus Maximus and Adalric Godunson, and pending the approval of the rest of the council, Royo Wolfborn was appointed East Skyrim Ambassador to Blackmarsh. Anzai the Blackscales, and the Banescale Fellowship will be meeting again next month to discuss who they will choose for the Argonian Ambassador to Skyrim. The Skyrim Council is also keeping their eyes open for valid candidates. At this same meeting, the Saxhleel requested of the Morrowind Council that they send an ambassador from Morrowind to Argonia as well. It was also agreed that the Argonian ambassador to Morrowind will be discussed and chosen in the next Stormhold City meeting. No word yet on a Morrowind ambassador to Skyrim or vice versa. In EU news from the AD, the Khajiit Festival of Fame is here. This is the final festival of the Khajiit year and is one of the more somber Khajiiti celebrations, being mostly family-oriented. The elders pass down tales of their mothers and fathers, the tales that they learned when they were children. Scholars and sages alike gather to tell tales of heroism, victory, loss, and tragedy to all Khajiit who will listen. Rain is not uncommon on this day. The celebration is being held on the island of Canarthy's Roost, and a Dominion battle reeve is said to be in attendance. Birdsong, who we'll soon be hearing from, reports that the Fighters Guild, known as a neutral organization across Tamriel, has recently become more active in Windhelm. Though the city has always boasted a Fighters Guild hall, recently they have made their presence more well known. Known members of the Daedra hunting organization, the Golden Flame, have been seen in and around the hall. This, combined with their shared goal, has led many to speculate that they may be working together on something. An increase in illegal and restricted goods moving through Eastmarch has guards scrambling to find the source. Thefts and the sale of stolen goods seem to be on the rise. In the shadier parts of Skyrim, rumors of a literal underground market float around. Whether this market exists and how much a rise in black market goods has attributed to its success remains to be seen. And now our top story, brought to you by our EU AD news correspondent, Excalibur. A loud clash was heard from Woodhearth's harbor. Its peaceful attendants and workers were pulled down into a battle, one more suitable for the fields of Cyrodiil than a harbor in front of a small Valenwood town. This fight, seemingly coming out of nowhere, has caused a great deal of tension, keeping people on their toes even to this day. The leader of the Bosmeri Wardens said that the perpetrators were Skooma smugglers. Another eyewitness confirmed that the Skooma smugglers had drawn their weapons first. Many were injured in the struggle, all but 2 of the smugglers being sent to death. A rumor has been circulating around Woodhearth that proclaims that one of the people captured was the ringleader himself. However, this story is yet to be confirmed. With the Dominion battle reeve having just arrived this Fredas, one must wonder, will Woodhearth remain quiet for the duration of the visit? Let me know in the comments section below if you have any additional information about the stories here, or if you saw something with your own eyes. Today we'll look at a different side of villainous roleplay: criminals. Our EU EP news correspondent Birdsong is here to tell us all about role-playing the leader of a criminal organization, the Baneful Affair. Let's take a look. Listen to the extended interview to hear Birdsong and I discuss the specifics of running a roleplay guild, including limiting recruitment, leading without ruling, and balancing the guild's original vision with new input from players. Welcome to Scrollplay, Birdsong.
Why, thank you. Happy to be here.
Alright, so let's start out the very first and really my favorite question. Tell us about your first roleplay and how you got into the practice.
How I got into roleplay, that goes back to when I was a kid, really. I started roleplaying in pen and paper.
Nice.
Nothing to do with computers at all. Yeah. As a player, a DM as well. Dungeons and Dragons. So yeah,
Nice.
that was ages ago. Yeah, but that was my first experience, and that was all the roleplay I did for a long time before I got into computer games.
Tabletop is such a different role-playing experience than an MMO because it's so contained, and you just have the same 6 people or whatever. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's it's a lot more. It's not different. I mean, it's not like you're sort of constantly in character either doing that. It's
Right.
It's yeah. So around a table kind of thing. Most of the time you're sort of chatting and having fun, and sometimes you just break into in character, I guess. So yeah, it's very different.
Yeah, I remember I did some DMing for World of Darkness, and I initially kind of went into it like, oh, we're going to be in character the whole time, and because I started with MMO role-playing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that did not happen.
No.
Too many jokes to be made.
Exactly, yeah.
So, what's your involvement in the EU roleplay scene, both in out of character and in character capacity?
Right. Out of character, I've just recently taken over the TESO-RP roleplay community.
Oh.
I've taken over from Dasander as sort of I wouldn't say the person in charge, because that's saying that I'm not a dictator. But I'm the one sort of who runs the guild and sort of keeps it going, I guess. So that's both the website and the guild. But in character wise, I am a guild leader. Well, leader is sort of I'm part of the Baneful Affair, a group of assassins, shadowy assassins, rarely seen. So actually, I mean, in character wise, I'm not very sort of well known, I guess, but I'm not very active in the community on account of the fact that the character is very hidden. But I've got alts which are more active. So yeah, that's
Nice.
that's my role. Yeah.
So you probably, I would imagine, because I know a couple people that run, like for example, a shadow scale guild that's kind of in the shadows and stuff like that. I imagine the stuff you do still kind of affects the community. It's just that nobody sees it.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's if everybody is talking about who did what when it comes to the Baneful Affair doing things, then we've done something wrong, because nobody's really supposed to know about it. But yeah. But yeah, no, the events that we run definitely do have an impact outside of it. So
Nice. So tell me a little bit about your character then, whatever you can reveal, I guess I should say.
Oh, I had a character can reveal anything. So that's, yeah. Zale is a Dunmer, trained assassin. Started out as a thief and kind of became an assassin later on down the line. She's a very cold, calculating character. She doesn't have friends. She has people she can use.
Mm.
And no, she's somewhat of a broken person, I guess, which kind of explains why she's like that. But she is I wouldn't say the embodiment of evil, but she's certainly not a very pleasant character.
That's funny. Well, she is a Dunmer, I mean.
Yeah.
So she already is like a little bit on the cold side by default, I guess. So there's the new Roleplay Hub, which is in Windhelm. Where was it before?
It was in the Molten.
That's right.
Before, yeah. Rift's Pride project, I believe is what it's called. Yep. I actually helped set that up originally way back, I think it was July last year. Baneful Affair was one of the guilds that set that up. And yeah, that went on for a while, but we just found it was sort of too far out of the way. People were having trouble finding it or getting involved. So as a community, we decided, hey, let's just move it somewhere bigger, more visible. So we moved on to Windhelm.
Nice. It's a great city to roleplay into because you got two taverns and like all the open space. Have any interesting developments come up since you guys have moved from Windhelm? Have you seen more role players around?
Certainly seen more role players in Windhelm, yes.
Nice.
I mean, I'm not sure. I shouldn't really say too much about it because it's still in planning. But we've got a pretty big event coming up to sort of break it in, so to speak, because it has only just moved. So, but no, the taverns are definitely full of role players. Most evenings, in fact, it's definitely quite active.
Nice. That's awesome to hear. Because so many people have been spreading around the idea that there's no roleplay on EU, and you see a lot.
Totally untrue. Yeah, yeah.
Right. Yeah, and like you see EU people moving to the NA Megaserver a lot because they're like, I want to be where the roleplay is, but obviously.
Yeah, I'd say it's definitely a smaller community. There's no way around that. It definitely is, but it's the EP even community is it's a really nice community to be in. It's one of the better ones I've had the pleasure of role playing with. So yeah, it's definitely not dead.
And yeah, you guys always have stuff going on, and every person I've met from EUEP is really cool too. So
Woohoo!
you guys seem very friendly. So, why crime roleplay? What made you go in that direction? Were you originally planning on a crime guild?
Yeah, I think it's just. I mean, I like playing the bad guys. I always have.
Nice.
So yeah. So I think that's. I mean, that's sort of the overriding goal behind it. Just being bad is fun. So why not? It's also something which is usually in my past experience anyway is usually sort of non-existent practically in a lot of the RP communities. A lot of the villains have to be sort of NPC'd or made up or whatever. I kind of like the fact that I kind of like providing that and being, someone that people can kind of rally against and be, look, get them,
Yeah.
So yeah, it's, I enjoy playing the anti-hero or the antagonist.
You could have gone, full on worm cults, let's murder babies and burn villages. Why crime as opposed to going the full on evil?
Because it's not something that you can. I think the sort of longer lasting villains have to be sort of shades of grey as opposed to outright just evil for the sake of evil. Because people would not keep someone around like that. They would. I mean, it wouldn't take long for people to hunt them down and get rid of them. It's also not very interesting, I find, to do just outright evil for evil's sake. It's a lot more interesting to have sort of layers and reasons behind it and make it it makes the character and the concept as a whole for the guild even a lot more interesting, three-dimensional.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I guess with crime roleplay too, you can't even really call that evil. Because...
Yeah.
Well, I guess it depends on how far you guys take it.
Yeah.
I mean, do you guys like murder people and stuff like that, or is it like thievery?
There's murder involved, yeah. So that happens. Yeah, the guild itself is actually not. It's not just sort of. I mean, the goal is to manipulate power, manipulate people in authority and such. That's the end character goal. So it's all about sort of blackmailing people to get things to happen, or taking out the appropriate person to make sure that certain events follow through as a result. And they do that on contract to other people or to further their own goal, depending on what's going on. Yeah.
What would be the purpose of maybe give me an example of a manipulation or something that you would do to achieve a certain goal?
Right.
Like what goals does the Baneful Affair actually have?
Baneful Affair just wants to have the power to sort of push around, I guess. So it can be. I mean, if it needs power in the first place, so that people will hire them to use that power to. Yeah. So it's chicken and egg. But I mean, as a recent example, they. The leader, Zale, my character, basically outright went to one of the officials in the pact, the role-played officials, and essentially just threatened to kill them unless they made the shipping company that was being set up. And Baneful Affair basically said, we want control of that. Indirectly, but we want control of that. And that's they went to this person's house, broke in, killed their servants, and said, "Look, you're next unless we get it." So
that's killed the servants. Yeah. Okay, I see where you mean. It could get a little on the evil side then, because they're just in the way, and
exactly.
You got to make a statement. Oh, that's fun. I love role playing that kind of stuff. It's just a blast. Because I mean, you're not gonna. I assume you're not a murderer in real life.
Well, no, very far from. Yeah.
So let me play devil's advocate and say this role-playing stuff is messed up, and why would you ever role-play killing an innocent servant who did nothing wrong to you? That's so terrible. What does that do for you?
It doesn't actually. I wouldn't say that I'm sort of out of character sitting here maniacally laughing at it or anything. That would be rather boring. But it provides something for the rest of the RP community to rally against. If there's no one being utterly horrible at any point, then I suppose that would be an idyllic, idyllic even, community, I guess, if no one ever committed any crimes and nothing bad ever happened. But it'd be very boring. So yeah, it makes things interesting for everyone else.
I like that I've heard from a lot of the villainous role players that I've been talking to that it's kind of you're doing it to provide something for the roleplay community, and I think that's really nice because there are so many more, I wouldn't say virtuous, but more leaning towards good side guilds than there are leaning towards bad side guilds, and you need the balance there, and someone's got to do it.
Exactly. Yeah. I'd say it's. I'm doing it. As much as I am doing it for the community and providing things, it is fun. So why not?
Right.
Yeah.
Totally. So, you're one of the news correspondents for Scrollplay.
I am.
Very much.
I'm very happy to be.
And I've been loving the stuff that you've been providing.
Glad to hear it.
I've been interested in the Ebon Drakes. I've been hearing a little bit about them. They're a newish military guild in EUEP. I assume that you guys probably don't get along.
In character-wise, no, we don't. We actually haven't crossed paths that much. Yeah, we probably should do. Need to arrange something there. But yeah, the Ebon Drakes have stuck very much to Windhelm of late, and the Baneful Affair has actually been out of Windhelm. They've been across sort of Skyrim, and actually they recently actually did something over in DC lands. So yeah, it's. They haven't really had much chance to cross paths yet. I'm looking forward to that though. Yeah.
I'm sure it'll happen. It's kind of destined.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you guys must have been involved in the bank problems that the DC has been having.
I couldn't possibly comment. No. Yes, we were. It's actually it was a couple of us played assassin characters for that. My character was there, Zale was there. So yeah, we were involved. Again, like I said, we weren't actually involved in the robbery part. We were the distraction. We went in and sort of caused a bit of trouble elsewhere to try and distract the guard and whatever. So.
Okay, so I remember it was saying that there were a few or attempted assassinations on a few people, so that was the distraction.
That was the distraction. Yeah.
So did it have anything to do with the Golden Flame who were visiting?
It didn't have anything at all to do.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it really made their lives difficult as well, which is cool. Yeah, but no, it was pure coincidence that they were there at the same time.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
that's, to me, that's just such a testament to how cool the roleplay community is. You can have that coincidence happen where two Ebonheart guilds are in DC at the same time doing something unrelated. Like, what the hell? So actually my guild is doing some cross-faction roleplay this weekend, and we've done it in the past before too. It's really fun. Like, so you guys just rolled like similar looking or identical looking characters to your characters with different names. Yeah,
that's exactly what we did. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, just remade our characters over there, and yeah, that's how we did it.
I really I know that it's disappointing that we can't just have our real characters interact with each other, but on the other hand, I don't know, because then it makes it like it's hard to go over there. You have to roll a new character, you have to kind of make a big deal about it, and that seems realistic.
It does seem realistic, because you wouldn't just be able to. Well, I'm assuming you wouldn't just be able to waltz straight into someone else's lands without having some sort of trouble.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would be quite a trip as well. So
yeah, the distance
it's realistic.
Too. So yeah, I would encourage more people to do that, because I think that there's just so many great communities, and when they interact like this, it's just amazing to see what happens.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the fallout in DC is going to be interesting too, the result of this.
It's been interesting. Yeah, it's been interesting.
Do you know anything about what's been going on over there since this?
I know a little bit. Yeah, it's certainly affected the criminal element over there, because at first they got blamed for it. So yeah, it's certainly affected them.
So this kind of segues into my next question, which is crime directed at player characters.
Oh yeah.
How do you, like, on an out of character level and an in character level, really? How does that work? Because obviously you can't just like go up to someone while they're role playing and murder them.
It has to be as much. I like to keep things dynamic in character as much as possible, but there's a lot that has to be talked about out of character, and that's one of those things that really has to be sort of planned out and agreed, because there's no other way of doing it in a fair manner, I guess. I mean, we're not out to sort of permadeath everyone's character. That's just not, it's not fun for either party, really. So yeah, if player characters are involved, chances are it's because out of character wise they've asked to be. So
that's cool.
And that's the way that works usually.
I think that's a good message to get across too, because I think a lot of people, and especially people that haven't been role playing in large communities for a long time, don't quite understand that if you work together with people on an out of character level, you can work against each other in an in character level, and nobody gets mad.
Exactly. Yeah, it's better to be all friends out of character and just have the animosity purely in character.
Absolutely.
Yeah, completely.
Of course, it doesn't always work out that way, does it? But
well, on occasion it doesn't, but the goal is always to keep things friendly out of character.
I think the more you communicate with each other, the better of a chance there is for that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, what would you like to tell people who want to roleplay on the darker side of things? Do you have any advice or suggestions for them?
First off, don't be evil for the sake of evil unless you want your character to be killed off extremely quickly. It's always better to have a character which does what they do for a reason. So if you're going to make a sort of dark character, the villain never thinks they're the villain is a good thing to sort of bring up. So always have a motivation for it. It makes the whole thing more work better. And also don't take. I mean, this can be applied to anything, but don't take the in-character sort of viewpoint against people out of character. Never do that. Yeah. It's you're the villain in character, but out of character, try and be everyone's friend. It just works out better that way.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Well, I have one final question for you.
Okay.
If Nocturnal gave you the power to change anything about ESO, the game, what would it be?
That is actually a tough one. It's one that it's actually something I've been thinking about a lot. What would I do? What would I do differently in the game? I would like the ability to. We actually kind of touched on this previously. In character-wise, travel across lands and such, not without barrier. I mean, I'd make it a challenge, but I'd like to be able to sort of invade our enemies, literally. Yeah, that'd be cool.
That would be really cool, actually, because we did the Battle of Canarthy's Roost, where we all, Ebonheart Pact NA, all rolled a bunch of alts and played on Canarthy's Roost.
Yeah.
But if you could actually do that,
that would be very cool.
That would be way
in my
cool.
opinion.
What kind of barriers do you think they could put up?
Well, we've got NPC guards, right? So. I mean, those are supposed to be unkillable, but maybe if they made not quite as unkillable ones, but still very, very powerful guards on the borders, maybe that could be a gameplay-wise a sort of a barrier.
Yeah, maybe you could have to go through Cyrodiil to get into the other factions.
That would be pretty cool, because then that gives them a perfect chance to try and stop you.
Yeah.
So,
No. Something to think about, ZeniMax. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for the interview. It's been a lot of fun.
Not a problem. No, happy to be here.
And good luck on all of your dastardly deeds.
I shall I should endeavour to keep being the villain. Yeah.
Awesome, thanks. In the next episode of Scrollplay, we'll interview Protector Magi about playing NPCs in storylines, especially evil ones. This will begin our transition into more discussions about plotlines and that kind of thing. Let me know what you thought of the show in the comments. Let me know your roleplay experience, if you have any experience playing a criminal or even the other side of the law. I'd love to hear some stories. Post in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Peace.
The reason it didn't confiscate weapons is because if somebody tries anything with weapons, there are other people with weapons. And a shit show is going to start out.
That's how Nord politics works. Everyone has their weapons.